What's up, guys? Today's going to be another Sunday Shift episode of the Dad Shift. And I want to talk about a recent praise report. So, we often hear of prayer requests and things of that nature, but I don't know that we do a lot of praise reports. So, when good things happen, I think as Christians, we should be sharing that with people because I think people come to Christ a lot when things are wrong, but we forget to honor God whenever things have gone really well. So, a little background. If you know me at all or are familiar, I do have two daughters. I have a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. And this past week, I was supposed to be watching our 10-month-old, and she is what they call cruising. So it's where they're not walking on their own yet, but they basically use stuff around them to like hold and walk around. They cruise around the house. And so my youngest is at that age where she is very mobile in that sense. She can't walk on her own yet. She's getting to the point where she can stand. So that's always a whole nother degree of movement. And being that we've been through it with our oldest, we thought this was just going to be business as usual. So we get a little bit comfortable in our ways. But, anyways, all that to say, I was watching Addie this past week, and she was cruising, and there was a cup of hot coffee, so freshly poured coffee, on the coffee table. And I was just watching Addie out of the corner of my eye, and I heard a crash and just blood curdling scream. And I look over, and the coffee has been poured onto my youngest daughter. And so I tried not to panic. I should be trained not to panic, and I think I did pretty well. But still, when it's your kids, it's a little bit different. So she had coffee all over her. Like I said, this was freshly poured coffee. So my immediate thought was, we got to get the coffee off. So I put her, take her to the sink and put running water over her. She has clothes on, which that is a huge blessing that happened that way. But I could tell she was upset. Obviously, she was very scared. So I'm just trying to run water over her body at this point because there's coffee all the way down her face and down her arms, and I can already see her arms and face turning really red. So I'm trying to stay calm, but also trying to get my wife, who was in the other room taking care of our oldest daughter, trying to get her ready for school. So she comes in, and I was like, hey, we need to figure out what we want to do. We need to get her in the bath and try to get all this off. And then I think we need to go to the hospital. Um, and I'm trying to run through my brain, like, be a little bit more calm and try to contain the situation like I do at work. And I don't know that I was doing a great job, but luckily we kept cool heads, and we could tell that she was starting to calm down, my youngest. And um, so all that to say, we ended up, um, we cooled her down and all that stuff, and she calmed down. You could see that there was a lot of redness on her arms and face and stuff like that. And my wife actually, when we met, different story, but she burned her leg, and so she has a little bit of trauma behind that. And so our first thought was, this is gonna definitely boil up, and it's gonna be bad. And so we get uh, our little one, our oldest one, off to school, and then we decide to take our youngest to the hospital. And we can already tell that it's starting to get better, but we're still panicking. We're like, we just don't want this to turn out to be like a lifelong struggle slash injury and something that she's scarred with for life. So we want to get it checked out by a professional. I mean, I'm a medic, but I'm not burn certified or anything like that. Like, I know basic stuff for that. So that's a whole different scope. So we end up taking her to the hospital, and the doctor gives a raving review of health. Doesn't look like the doctor's like, I don't think there's going to be any permanent damage. Said y'all did everything right, putting her under the water. If anything, it scared her. And from what I can tell, there's not going to be any permanent damage, which we get to take a breath at this point, which is great. And but at that point, now that I know that our youngest is safe and okay and likely to have no permanent damage, she like I'm sitting here like, man, I'm the worst dad in the world. Like I am going through my um just in the dumps. Like I felt terrible because I should have been watching her. I'm apologizing to my wife. I'm trying not to cry over my kid because I feel like I failed him. Um, and I was not in a good place mentally, and I've been there before, and so it was just a scary time. And but my wife was very supportive, and this isn't your fault. It could have happened to anybody. But we just try to make it through. So we get the clean bill of health. We leave. We decide to go eat, and our youngest is happy and healthy the whole time, and just we're just trying to enjoy the day. Which a whole nother point is it was going to be a busy day that obviously changed our plans, and so we actually got to spend time as a family slowing down, which was nice. So a whole nother side note. But when we were at the restaurant, everyone around us was just talking. I mean, we had multiple people come and stop and tell us like what good parents we were, which is very ironic after what we had just been through. And just people just oohing and on over our baby and just telling me and Amanda both like, "Hey, y'all are such good parents. Y'all are taking such good care of your kids." And I'm sitting here like, man, if only they knew what just happened. And we actually had someone end up paying for our food. Still don't know who it was. So that was a huge blessing. And it's just crazy because God really knew what we needed in that moment. And I still truly believe that God healed our youngest. I think, like I said, this was a freshly poured pot of coffee. There's no reason to think that it should not have permanently injured our kid. And I believe God was there. I believe He was in the room when it happened. I believe that He gave us the encouragement, at least that I needed, and was filling our cup, knowing that we were just in the dumps. Like we felt like terrible parents. And so I just kind of wanted to share that. I know that's kind of a weird story, and I would not recommend pouring coffee on your kids at all. But in that, in the midst of the chaos, it was hard not to see God in that. And I remember sitting at the restaurant, and I just told my wife, and I almost cried. I was crying as I said this. I said, God knew exactly what we needed in this moment, and it's impossible not to see God at work in this. And so it's truly amazing, and I want to share that story not to encourage doing something like that to your kids, but to let you know that God is active and working. And I'm going to share a verse with you here. This is out of Psalm. So it's Psalm 77, and I'll read 13 and 14. So verse 13 says, "Your ways, God, are holy. What God is as great as our God? You are the God who performs miracles. Your display, your power among the peoples." And like I said, I just really think God was there. And I think it's funny with timing. Like, if this would have happened last year or 2 years ago, around the time that I was going through my breakdown, like, I feel like this would have been a much worse situation. But I think my wife and I were able to keep cool heads. And I think that is a testament to God and what He's working in our lives. And in the midst of, for us, what was supposed to be a routine morning turning into chaos, God was there in all of it, and He took care of us. And I really just want to encourage you guys to lean into that. And I'm not promising that God's going to heal or protect in all those ways. That's not the way that God operates always. So be clear in that. But I do truly believe this was a God moment, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And so hopefully you guys got something from that. You may not have. That's okay. But I love you guys. And I really just want to encourage you with that and just give a praise report, because I think we need to talk about the good things that God does too. We often like to bring Him our troubles and struggles, and we don't often give Him credit for the praises. So I'm going to close this out with prayer, and then I'll let y'all get back to your lives. God, we want to thank You for just this great platform that You have, that we can reach and talk to hundreds of people or tens of people or one person, God. I pray that You use this podcast to reach people that need to be reached. I pray that anyone listening knows that they're loved by You, God, mostly and foremost. And I pray that if they need something, they reach out, God, whether it's to me or someone else, reach out to a friend, God. We need to know that we're not alone, and we need to know that You have provided friends and support systems that we can rely on. And then when we rely on You, God, You do amazing things. ignore you when things are bad, or even when things are good, God. But we often don't give you the credit when things are going good or great, or when things could have turned out worse. So I just pray that the people listening, that they look for opportunities to give you praise this week, because I believe that you will show up, and I believe that you will do those things. We love you, God. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got, and we'll see you next shift. Thanks.